Good evening from London, wrestling fans. I'm your host, Ben Allison, and you are listening to Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast, your one-stop shop for professional wrestling, insight, news, and reviews on a daily basis. And today it's Sunday, and you know what that means. It means it's time for the Collision review, but also we are going to be talking the big debate today, and that, of course, big debate over on our Instagram, across all our social medias, is Rock, John Cena, who's had a better career from a purely kayfabe perspective. We're going to be getting into that and more. It's going to be a great show. And you know what I say, for a great show, we need a great panel. And let's kick things off with the co-host, Clark Taylor.
I'm stoked to be back, Ben. It has been a wild weekend in all of combat sports, not just pro wrestling. We had a wild SmackDown, awesome Collision, Ngannou and Joshua on Friday, the UFC last night. I am stoked to be here on a Sunday, just hanging out, chatting wrestling. Let's get into it.
Absolutely, no doubt about it. It was a great UFC pay-per-view last night. We got Bobby Petito in the commenting. Julia versus Stephanie was a great match for the New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong Women's Championship in Stardom. I mean, I haven't seen it yet, but I will certainly check that out, Bobby. And we got David Marge giving his opinion right away, saying Roman Reigns is better than John Cena. We'll be discussing this, no doubt about it. But also joining us today, he's a huge AEW fan. He's the host of the Soul Sessions. He is Soul. How are you, Soul?
Good as always. Actually, be good to be back in my humble abode for once. I feel like it's been forever since I've actually suited up for once. I mean, I've literally been like just t-shirts and jacket, been in the attic, been in everywhere, been in Greensboro, been in a Holiday Inn. So it's good to finally be back home for once. And yeah, I'm just glad to have the suit back on. It actually feels right to have this back on now. Yeah, I don't feel odd without it. So let's get
in. Absolutely, no doubt about it. The suit has been missed, but let's just straight away get into this conversation. Roman Reigns, John Cena, from a kayfabe perspective, whose career has been better? And listen, guys, I'm aware this is going to be a boiling hot take, but truthfully, from a purely kayfabe perspective, I think Roman Reigns has had the better career than John Cena. Why? Well, he's had a combined longer, WWE Universal Championship reign than any of John Cena's reigns combined. That's why. And he's done it in like half the time career-wise. I mean, that's my argument. It's as simple as that, really. From a kayfabe perspective, he's been champion for longer in a significantly shorter career. Simple as that. I mean, Clark, what do you think?
I would say both of the guys that we're arguing about have been given significant opportunities in the WWE. I think the original plan was to sort of play inside of the lines of the John Cena coloring book when booking Roman Reigns, right? I mean, he was in every main event you could put him in, and he was just shoved at us as a babyface, and it didn't work. That's not who he is. I think now, kayfabe-wise, Roman Reigns' heel work has been outstanding, but we're comparing apples and oranges here. John Cena was a babyface. Stone Cold Steve Austin's reigns were never as long as Roman's or anybody's. No one's. Cena's still a 16-time champion, correct?
But they're short. He's not kept it for long, has he?
So short reigns are short reigns. Ric Flair, 16, 21, however many you want to say, it's still a big deal. I'm going to say still right now, John Cena, kayfabe-wise, you look at the course of his career, as much as there are dead spots, it's equal opportunity. You can say the same about Roman after the Shield and before the Tribal Chief. I still have to give the nod to Cena for right now. And I got to give Cena credit, too, for putting Reigns over multiple times in the last few years. Roman Reigns needed John Cena. John Cena's never needed Roman Reigns. And I think that's the difference there when it comes to this argument. So I have to give Cena the nod for right now. Can Reigns pass him? For sure. But I still, not yet. Not just yet.
I don't know. I don't agree. I really don't, because
I also think long-term sustained excellence carries more weight than so as much as carrying the title for a lot of days is a big deal. What Roman has done, like you said, it's still a shorter career. It's still a shorter time. sustained excellence over a period that Cena has had, it carries more weight in my eyes. That's important to note too. And that's, you can't help that part of it, because we can't fast forward. Where's Roman going to be at when he gets to the 20-year mark, when he gets to the 25-year mark, when he starts doing Hollywood crossover stuff? We don't know what that looks like yet. So that is unfair in some ways, but at the same time, the sustained excellence for the sheer amount of time to be put in that position
That's
so many times, that's hard to deny from Cena. And that's where, especially because it's razor thin. This is not Cena by a mile or Reigns by a mile, no matter what you think, right?
Yeah.
We're splitting hairs here. But if I have to, for right this minute, it's John Cena. My opinion could easily change in the next 18 months. In the next, right? Like,
I mean, I do get you. I get your point. I do get it. You know, he's been there, he's done it over time. But again, you put all these title reigns together, you merge all his title reigns, his 16 title reigns together, and they're still not as long as Roman Reigns' one championship run right now. Never mind all the previous ones he's had on top of that. I mean, honestly, I cannot see an argument at all to say from a purely kayfabe perspective, Roman Reigns hasn't had the better career.
16-time United States Open Challenge. I mean, if we're gonna go stat for stat, we're looking at one that Roman Reigns clearly has the overwhelming margin in, which is like length of his reign, length of Roman's reign. But but Cena in almost every other statistical category is going to catch him. What's interesting, though, is going to be the all-time WrestleMania main events thing, because Cena is up there on that list. There's a number of names that are up there on that list, but I'm pretty confident that Roman Reigns is in line here to not only pass that record, but smash that record. That, to me, would be the one where I would flip to the other side.
Well, I believe, if I'm not mistaken,
he's already passed Cena.
Yeah, he's passed Cena, and
but if he gets the all-time record, then okay. That's my point. If he gets the all-time record,
he's one off Hogan, if I'm correct. Yes, he's one off Hogan, which means that if Roman Reigns main events both nights of this year's WrestleMania, which we presume he's doing, in fact, he almost definitely is doing, then, well, I mean, there we are. He's got the most WrestleMania main events as well. He's done it in like 10 years, or pretty much 10 years, 10, 11 years, whatever it is. Well, no, it's not. It's 12, actually. But he's done it in 12 years, 10 years as a single star. I mean, come on, put some respect on the Tribal Chief's name.
No doubt.
Throw those ones up. Throw those ones up. Saul, what's your thoughts on this matter?
It's a very interesting topic as well, because both of them are very good in the context of the WWE and a kayfabe mentality. They've both accomplished a lot, and I'm going to pull up some stats here. John Cena has had a total of 2,285 matches. Number of wins is 1,799 and a loss of 431. Draws 55. So a total win percentage of 78.7%. Look at Roman Reigns. Total matches, he's had 1,366. Total number of wins, 999. Total number of losses, 333. Your total win percentage there is 73.1%. So if you have to look at the work ethic, who's doing so much, Cena does trump that. He's had the more matches. Of course, he's been there for longer. Roman hasn't been as long as Cena. And then obviously you look at the Mania main events as well. That's a thing you have to add on as well. Roman's smashing that as well. But, some of those WrestleMania main events weren't the best. Look at the one with Triple H that no one really cared.
From a kayfabe perspective, it doesn't matter.
I mean, if you're doing a match and then it's like, oh yeah, you main evented, but everyone booed you out the building like you did with Lesnar, I think at 35.
It doesn't matter from a purely kayfabe perspective, but the win percentage is a good point.
I will say though as well, like if you're looking as well from a kayfabe standpoint as well, I think Roman's held every belt in the company. I'm pretty sure. Cena's not held the IC, if I'm correct.
True.
He's the IC away from Grand Slam.
To be fair as well, if you're looking for a number from kayfabe, well, Cena's introduced his own custom championship, which Roman hasn't technically. He's been awarded an upgraded version, but Cena's had his own customs version. And Clark mentioned the US Open Challenge as well, which is, you know, a highlighted point as well. I think it's tough to say, honestly. Like, I think if we give Roman another 3 years, what we could do, then absolutely, I think he would trump everyone from now and then forever. I think he would trump. Well, obviously, there's San Martino as well, which is I don't think anyone's ever touching that with a 10-foot pole.
No.
If we caught San Martino, then that changes the whole
amount of
conversation.
rants David would go on, right? The amount of rants we'd have to hear David on this show every week for another 9 years.
I will say, I think there's an argument for both of them. Honestly, I think there's a 100% argument for both of these individuals for being, you know, the best in the WWE universe standpoint of view.
For sure. I mean, I think that Roman Reigns will surpass Cena. I just don't think he has yet.
Yeah, agreed.
That's my true answer there. Down the road, he will. I got my dad in the comments. I'm going to read this one, Ben. Is Gunther better than Cena?
I'm jumping on this right away. No, I'll tell you why Gunther isn't better than John Cena. Has Gunther won the big one, the major championship?
Nope.
No. Has Roman Reigns won it? Yes. Has Roman Reigns, in a handful of reigns, been able to have a combined reign, which is significantly larger than all of Cena's reigns combined? Yes. And that's the argument I'm making.
That's fair.
I honestly,
it's fair.
But
16 times is a lot too.
Yeah, but he can't defend it for long. Clearly, he fumbles it.
I hear you on that, but at the same time, you're also talking about a babyface champion versus a heel champion. And if Roman gets booked as a babyface and the fans actually accept him in the way that they did Cena for a long time until things got a little bit dicey in the middle there, Roman Reigns is probably in the same position. That's the interesting part to me is, had Cena been in a spot where he ends up being a heel, maybe he chases that record. Maybe he's the one that catches Hogan. That's where it's apples to oranges to me. It's a tough argument to make because they both play different roles.
Yeah, that's a good point. That is a good point. And I mean, you know, we can say maybe this, maybe that. But what fascinated me was somebody sent in this opinion, right, to the Wrestling Republic Instagram. I did the anonymous opinion thing because they didn't want their name to be shared. I posted it. And the comments were like unanimously John Cena. It's like, come on, this is a much closer argument than that. No matter which way.
I think as well, it's a part of nostalgia bias as well, because you're going to get those people that grew up with Cena, remember the matches with, you know, Orton, Edge, Triple H, and the Shawn Michaels Mania match as well. I think a lot of people are going to draw upon that and put statistics and facts and logic to the side to, you know, root for the number one, you know, sneaker guy with the cap and everything. But I mean,
to your point, Shawn Michaels is better than both. To your point, Shawn Michaels is better than both.
It's a
best ever suit up.
I think it's an argument for both of them. I'm taking neutrality ground right here. I ain't trying to annoy anyone today.
You're backpedaling now. You're backpedaling. But HBK. No, I do. Well, I mean, in terms of this isn't you know, in-ring argument, right? Because I mean, I think that would be maybe even a tougher.
I think even inside kayfabe, revolutionary with D-Generation X, unbelievable rivalry with Stone Cold Steve Austin.
That's not kayfabe, is it?
All right.
We're talking inside of kayfabe, not outside.
Yeah, but the quality of storyline doesn't change.
We'll use the real measuring stick. Who's got more Meltzer's 5-star matches?
Quality
That's
of entertainment.
Real measuring stick right now. Who's got more Meltzer 5 stars?
Oh, I only care about the David Sheldon. But anyway,
Uncle Dave.
Yeah, Uncle David Sheldon. That's the real one. But we need to put that on a t-shirt. Actually.
No, honestly,
anyway,
yes. Put that on a shirt.
I want to have a look at the comments. We got Coach 23 saying Cena has had that long run at the top, but he always lost. And then Coach 23 saying, imagine being a babyface for more than a decade and a half. Right, in all seriousness, kayfabe aside, John Cena's had a 10 times better career. No doubt about it. I'm talking from purely a kayfabe perspective in terms of, you know, wins, losses, right? Who is, you know, from a pure kayfabe perspective
more
in that ring, who's better? Reigns or Cena? That's the question.
Now you're giving too many stipulations because now you just slanted it in your direction.
No, that's what it is.
Just look at the numbers.
Perspective. No, I'm arguing this. We've got Rick Taylor. Shout out to Rick Taylor. But no, I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up on this one. I will die on this hill.
I love
Roman
it.
Reigns has had the better career. from a kayfabe perspective.
I
But
think
anyway,
he will at the end.
Unfortunately, I think the end is getting very near. I think whenever he loses this title, which I don't think's at WrestleMania, but next year, I actually do think that that's the end of him in WWE. I think he's gone. Gone as
Please lose to someone like Von Wagner or something just for the memes. Please. Just for the memes.
Von Wagner ends the ring. Please give him Iris as a theme song.
Talk about finishing a story.
And there we are.
Von
That's what I pitched months ago. Anyway, on that note, let's move on and let's move on.
Pretty Deadly could share the title.
Oh, I love it. Yes, boys. Friday Night Snackdown every week. I love it. It'd be my dream. Right? The only thing better was if Christian Cage was co-hosting with them. Maybe they share it or all of it, you know? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Three-way title. The real trios title. Let's talk Collision. Let's talk how, open Danielson versus Shane Taylor. Hard-hitting, fun match to start off the night. I loved how they brought up Lee Moriarty and Danielson's match from 2022. I do wish, they would have brought it up in the 2 years since then. Obviously, they hadn't. But this was a fine opening match to the night. I didn't care too much about it going in. Obviously, not much of a story there. But once it started, I enjoyed it, and I thought it was good. But let's be real. The highlight was what happened after the match when one of AEW's newest signings, Will Ospreay, came down to the ring and challenged Bryan Danielson to a match at Dynasty. I'm excited for this one. That is a dream match. Uncle David Sheldon, get your 5 stars ready. What did you think, Clark?
I'm super stoked about that prospect. And Ospreay was awesome on the promo. Really good on the mic. I like the direction they're going with him and Danielson kind of colliding. It feels like both are here to have dream matches. And we're doing that, which is nice. That's pleasing for sure.
Yeah.
I got to talk about Shane Taylor for a minute, though. I love Shane Taylor. Every match I've seen with him is great. He worked Samoa Joe at All Out last year, and it was awesome. It was a really, really good slugfest of a match. The guy can go. There's a reason he was in there last night with Danielson, and he played his role perfectly. Got to give Shane Taylor his flowers without question. But really, the juice in this is for sure Danielson, Ospreay, put it on a poster, make it happen. Give him an hour, give him 2 hours. I don't care.
4.
I'm excited. I want to see that match as bad as anything. It doesn't matter where either or when. They barely have to do anything to build it. And knowing those two, they still will. And that's some of the brilliance of both Bryan and Ospreay. They're just that good. And they're charismatic. Total package.
Yeah.
Shout out Lex Luger. And yeah, like this is one of those. I have almost no complaints. I was excited to see Shane Taylor probably more than you were on the card because he doesn't get a ton of time. And have him against Danielson because stylistically he's just a great big man to work Danielson.
Oh, he is
totally delivered. Stylistically, he kept up with Bryan the entire match. The finish was great. Ospreay great. I'm all for all of this.
Yeah, I just wish they could have set it up a bit more or something. But you are right. Once it started, it was great. And like I said at the start, the fact that they referenced the history between Lee Moriarty and Danielson, I love that on commentary too. Nigel McGuinness, who, by the way, I forgot to mention, Nigel McGuinness was the highlight of this segment, actually. It wasn't even Will Ospreay. It was Nigel McGuinness on commentary. Him and Danielson, I need it. I need it injected into my veins at Wembley Stadium. All in. All in. Get them. There's too many all in, all out. Shake it all about. But we got Bobby Petito saying, take my money for a match between Bryan Danielson and Will Ospreay. Agreed. Coach 23 saying it's a little bit of a styles clash. But they would do anything to make it an awesome match. I do agree, but no, I do agree actually. But I still am hyped.
See, I think styles make fights there, and you got the kind of the grappler versus the agility guy, but they both can do both. I think it's going to be one of those like back and forth matches, which we don't get very often where that works, right? a lot of times you have like the classic either heel beat down leads to babyface comeback or whatever. When you have matches like this, I think this is going to be a back and forth slugfest.
Yeah.
Which is hard. It's hard to book because it's hard to find wrestlers who have that skill set to accomplish it. But this one, I have no doubt with those two.
I'm hyped. I really, really am excited already. I'm getting goosebumps just us talking about it. And it's not happening to next month, which will be a crazy month for professional wrestling. NXT Stand and Deliver, WrestleMania, Supercard of Honor. I mean, I've really worded them in a weird way here. Obviously, WrestleMania is the big one. But
they're doing that again.
What?
WrestleMania.
Oh, come on.
It is a joke.
Out of NXT and Supercard, it is the big one, right? Even Dynasty.
I'd rather watch Supercard.
So,
Mark. Anyway, right. There's a lot of idiots in this world, right? But you guys don't have to be an idiot. And why don't you have to be an idiot? Because instead of finding all our links on all the different platforms, wasting your day searching us up, which, by the way, I really do appreciate. But instead of doing that, you can find all our links all in one place, thanks to our good friends over at Next Level. Just go to nxconnect.me/Wrestling Republic to see all our content across all platforms, linked all in one place, plus exclusive content. And just in case that wasn't enough, we've sprinkled in, a little bit of a dash of free WrestleMania tickets to night 2 of WrestleMania. Go to our Connect link. That's nxconnect.me/Wrestling Republic. Scroll to the bottom for the opportunity, and there's a link there for an opportunity to win some tickets to WrestleMania Night 2. All the details are on there. Scroll to the bottom and click the link. But on that note, let's now move on, and let's move on to talk about Kazuchika Okada. Of course, he arrived in AEW this week, and he joined the Elite. He shocked the world, and I loved it. I loved it. Some people hated it. I was not one of those. The Young Bucks, Okada together, I didn't see it, but I think it's great. It makes sense. And Okada, people forget this, was a heel when he started in New Japan in 2012. He was a heel then with pretty much this exact same gimmick. In fact, his gimmick kind of never changed. It's just people started to, root for him more, and he started to be a bit more respectful. But now he's gone back to his old ways once again, and I think this just works so well. He single-handedly defeated a trio, and the Young Bucks didn't even need to be tagged in. So at the end of the day, they win that. But once again, it was what happened after the match that was the real highlight, because out came Eddie Kingston. He tried to take out Okada, but the Young Bucks stopped him. And then Pac came out. He is back. And Pac versus Okada. This is another dream match. AEW, you have this roster. And for the last year or so, you've really not been doing too many of these dream matches, right? And apart from with Bryan Danielson with this, final one of his career. But you have the roster where you can do these dream matches. And I'm so glad now Okada and Ospreay have come into the company that they've just said off the bat, hey, let's do some of these dream matches. Let's build stories around them. But hey, let's just do them. And honestly, Pac versus Okada, take my money. And also Okada versus Kingston. You can take my money for that as well. I'm hyped. 6-man match on Wednesday at Dynamite. Big business this week. But Saul, what did you think?
So I honestly have to say, I haven't felt this invested in the Elite since 2021. Remember that whole thing with Kenny and the Bucks having all the titles? I love that stuff. Afterwards, I still like the Elite, but I didn't think it got to that heights there. This, I feel like it's the heights now. This is a new level right here. A next level, you could say. But I just it's amazing. Okada and the Bucks is like the perfect way to introduce Okada to AEW. Because if you just continued the Rainmaker as he was in New Japan, a lot of the hardcore fans that, they say they watch everything would have just been like, oh, it's the same. But you introduce him as the bad guy, the Bucks' old friend. And the fact that they've set up so many storylines just with this faction. You've got the stuff with Hangman, them suspending him. You've got Kenny getting kicked out and being replaced by his greatest rival of all time. You've now got Eddie Kingston with the Continental Crown, which seems that's what Okada's now going to be chasing as well. Imagine Okada with 3 titles. That's going to be something as well. And now you've got Pac as well and Penta in this trio match. The fact that we can now say in 2024, we're getting an Okada match on live TV for free, no having to jump through New Japan World and VPNs just to get a match at 3 a.m. to watch live. So I am happy with that. But something I would love to see out of this is if Okada does win the Continental Crown, it's the Ring of Honor, AEW, and a New Japan belt. I would love to have a storyline from this that New Japan like throw a bit of a fit about it, about Okada, this traitor leaving and then holding one of their titles within a Continental Crown. Have him come back to New Japan as a heel against the likes of Naito, Tanahashi. Because think about it, they could all label him as a traitor. I think it'd be amazing. It'd be amazing, though. Come on,
it's a different. You can't think about Japan when it comes to professional wrestling like the US, because their crowds don't turn as easy, especially once you are the face of a company. I don't think they could turn him heel successfully there. That's the thing.
If anything, though, they could have Okada come back in and actually put somebody over on the way out in a correct way, because he didn't really do that when he left this time. Yeah. So if they could do that and build somebody like Umino, Shota Umino, honestly, that. That'd be amazing. Think about this. We could get at the Tokyo Dome or Forbidden Door, Continental Crown, Okada versus Shota Umino, Moxley in Shuto's corner, the Bucks in Okada's corner. That would be something. And that would be a very establishing moment for New Japan's future with Shota Umino. So give me that. But you know what? This new elite, I'm excited. I know people are wanting the Wembley match. Look, this is what I want for Wembley. Okada and the Bucks versus Hangman Page, Kenny Omega, and Kota Ibushi. That is your match for Wembley.
I don't think Kota's going to be back for. Didn't he break both his ankles? I think he's done for quite.
Just get Brandon Cutler. Get Brandon Cutler.
Oh no, please no. Just have Okada Omega. If Omega's back, do a singles match. Oh, to see that in person.
Look, no complaint from there. No complaint from there. I would happily take that. I would happily take Omega versus Okada. What was it? 6'5", 6 squared?
75, I don't know.
70 stars in the Tokyo Dome, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
27 maybe.
It's well, even David Sheldon actually told me he prefers Wembley Stadium to the Tokyo Dome. So there we are, 95 billion stars.
Problem solved. It could be 900 stars. We might actually break our own star scale. No, we're not.
Yeah.
All right.
We don't do that.
Well, who knows? We got Coach 23 saying Kenny Omega and Ibushi won't make it to Wembley. I was watching the Kenny Omega stream the other day. Kenny really has no idea when he'll be back.
Yeah.
Like it's not going to be like, imminently. But like from what he said, like if he doesn't need surgery, he could be back, in like a few months, or it could be significantly longer. Like it's really hard to predict. And obviously our thoughts are just with him on this really difficult recovery. Bobby Petito saying he'd be interested in a singles match between Okada and Pac. Or Okada versus Hangman Adam Page. Yes, please. Coach 23's only gripe with the situation, the scrap last night between Okada and Pac, was that they shouldn't have had a physical altercation and protected Okada. Okada did take a bit of a beatdown from Eddie as well, though, before, and had I do get your point, though. But
he did just beat a whole trios by himself. I mean, the Bucks were pretty much sitting there and just making their own little sandwiches while
they were posing.
I love the Bucks. The Bucks are the Bucks are the greatest tag team ever. The Bucks are the greatest.
Depends on which side you're on.
Well, we don't have time for this debate. No, let's not get into that. Anyway, on that quickly, I know you have a gripe about something, Clark, right? Because Tony Storm is trying to avoid a lawsuit by starting the Tony with an I awards when Clark started the Tony with an I
of the week awards.
I mean, this is just.
I actually give full permission to Tony Storm on this one because her awards are different. Mine are the Tony of the Week awards. Then
I
hers
thought you
are the
did yours
Tony
with an I as well.
I awards. No, mine are very much with an I too, but mine are just a weekly award. And hers, I believe, are handed out at her discretion. And I respect that. Obviously, the Tony Awards with a Y, that's when we're trying to avoid some of my past champions. I had Khan, Shivani. I had all three members of Tony won one week.
You should have done 3 different weeks. Show them respect. They're
Anthony
individual people.
has yet to get that win, but he's been a nominee multiple times. We will get that someday. Our head of opinions, Anthony Ricciardi. Shout out, Anthony. Trust me, man. You keep trying. Honestly, my Tony of the week has been on the back burner for a while because behind the scenes, me and Miss Storm were talking about this launch. I'm kidding. That's not the truth at all. But I'm totally with it because she's my favorite women's wrestler on the planet right now. It's just entertainment gold.
False.
I laughed my face off for the entirety of everything involved in the Tony Awards, the lawsuit, the black and white screen filter, and then cutting to Mariah May, and she's basically in Tony Storm's old ring gear. Like, it's like all of it is comedy gold. It's just good writing, and she's off the charts. I find it so entertaining and so excellent. I am a huge Tony Storm fan and was before. I don't know what happened that caused her to decide, like, I'm going to go for this. This is what I want to do with the current character, but it is brilliant. It is brilliant. And she was good before, but it's so dang funny. The outfits, the delivery, it is so good. The commitment to the character, all of it, like the talking into the camera during matches, like just it's absolute gold. I can't get enough of it. She needs an excellent rival. Deonna gets involved here. The beatdown part, I understand on the heel side. I almost want to root for Tony Storm myself.
I think everybody does. I
almost wish it went the other way is the only problem. Like, Deonna logically should be the babyface here, but like the Tony Storm stuff is so high quality comedically that it, on top of just being like, it's not corny, even though it is in a way. It's so tongue in cheek.
No, it is corny, but it works.
But it's like it's so tongue in cheek and so sarcastic. It's hilarious. Yeah. And like, but it's also really well acted. So
that's true. Right? It is. And you are wrong about one thing though, Clark. Tony Storm's not the best right now. That best person, right? The best in the world in the women's division is also not Tiffy time. Sorry, Shard. It in fact is Mariah May. She's an Arsenal fan too, which makes me like her even more. I mean, she was great in this.
Dude, yeah, that is not to overlook Mariah May's part in this. She was awesome. I mean, but also the Tony Storm impression part of it, like wearing the red and black Tony Storm gear, and Mariah May is so good bell to bell. It's a great pairing. It's so fun. And immediate challenger, it's not Mariah May, but when the time comes and it's Mariah May versus Tony Storm, I'll be as excited as you, Ben. I'm not sure who I'll be rooting for at the time, but that's down the road and needs to be down the road because both are so talented and so good.
I think there is only one thing which could make this storyline any better, and that is if Mariah May introduced Christian Cage into her life. I think there'd be no more violence in the world.
No.
I think, it would be bliss. It absolutely would be. But now I want to move on, and I want to talk about Jericho versus Titan from last night, because I thought this was a fine match. The crowd got into it as it went along, but Chris Jericho, he's getting to the point in his career where he's kind of just meant to do the hits. Everybody ever sing along and, that's the end of it. Have a bit of a fun match, cool. Instead, he's decided to strip that all back, go back to the Lionheart character, or lack thereof a character. And I mean, the crowd was silent when he came out, which is crazy. Absolutely silent. Titan almost had more of a reaction when he came out. Once it got underway, there was more of a reaction, but it was mainly for Titan, or Titan, however you want to say it. I keep messing it up, right? But the reactions were more for him than Jericho. I mean, come on, Jericho, you have a banging theme, right? And I understand what he's trying to do. He's trying to just, put it all back, go back to basics, and show that he can still go. I get that, but hey, like, it's hard to do, and you're at the point in the career where you should just go out and enjoy it. Unless you're a heel. If he was a heel, this would make more sense. He's a babyface. So, am I being too harsh?
Not necessarily, no. I mean, I think I get the reason why he's doing the Lionheart stuff is when he was in CMLL, that's who he was. So he's basically any CMLL wrestler, he's going back to the version that faced them. Maybe that's a sign out of just respect or to have the storyline with it. That's fine as well. I mean, it's like when Judas has been babyface and heel in AEW, he's always had Judas because it's something that the crowd connect with and have fun with. That's just how things are. When he was the Ocho, Le Champion, the Wizard, any other things are under the kayfabe dictionary of gimmicks. He's done it all. I thought this match was fine. I honestly am more interested in the CML show coming up in March. Is going to feature AEW talent. Moxley's going down there with the BCC. Him, Claudio, Brian, and Wheeler are going down there. Willow's going down as well, teaming up with Tessa Blanchard and the former female luchador who was in NXT for a while, teamed with Sin Cara. Can't remember who her name was, but they're going on a freeway women's match with the individual who just won the Strong Women's Championship, Stephanie Vacure, I think it is.
Yeah.
So I mean that's something fun there. I mean, I know Tony has said in media calls that she wants to bring her in as well, and if she is the New Japan Strong Women's Championship, maybe we could see Athena be involved in a Continental Classic for the women. I mean, I would love to see that. I would love to see that as well. I mean, who I think should win that personally, Mariah May, I think should win that. I think have a little cheeky thing with that. Have Mariah May win that and have free belts me. That's a t-shirt right there. But I do kind of expect and slightly hope though by this March show, the CMLL luchadors coming in for TV ends or phases out a bit.
Agreed.
That's I feel like that's fine. I understand why they're having them appear now because they're mentioning the show and all that where the guys are going down. I understand that. But unless by Forbidden Door time, it's going to be a freeway company showcase with CMLL, New Japan, and AEW, maybe have someone like, if you're going to do that, have Magnus, Mystico come in. I feel like those ones would be fine. Other ones you can maybe pick from who else has came in, who's kind of connected. Titan did have a bit of a good showing last night. Maybe have him, but definitely Mystico and Magnus, have them on the Forbidden Door card. That's where I think it should go. But yes, I do agree though that by the March time, hopefully less and less of the CMLL guys.
Absolutely. No, so bang on agree with you there. I said it last week as well, and that's nothing against them. Like you said, we're enjoying what they're doing, but AEW has so much talent to feature of their own as well that, you've got to be smart with how you use the TV time.
I love seeing Angelico last night as well. I love seeing Angelico on the TV again.
Yeah. No, that was good. And I mean, obviously he's been in AEW from the start too, so it is nice to see that. Especially for the long-time fans of AEW. So even if you have just watched AEW, you obviously know who he is. But I do want to talk now at somebody else who I don't think should be getting TV time, and that's Jeff Jarrett, right?
Oh.
Because I want to say something first, right? I actually think Jeff Jarrett overall has been overhated throughout his career. But at his age, he's not a draw. He's not a draw, right? So he's on that card, just taking a place away from one of the many talents in catering in AEW, right? We know their roster's so stacked. And it's getting more stacked by the week at the minute. Come on, Jeff Jarrett at his age, he didn't need to be in this match. But the match I'm talking about, of course, is the main event with the House of Black took on Mark Briscoe, Jay Lethal, and Jeff Jarrett. It was a fun main event. The only gripe I had about it was they tried to set the Julia Hart came out with gasoline, was going to set Mark Briscoe on fire, then just randomly decided kind of not to, even though she still had it in her hand and he was back down again at the end. And then she just walked down to the ring. That part I thought made zero sense. I thought that was stupid. So I just didn't think that was thought out. But the match itself, I thought was a fun main event. But Jeff Jarrett, that's a no from me. But what about you, Sol?
I mean, I always enjoy Jeff Jarrett. I just find him very entertaining, and I do like his work in the ring. Even being a new wrestling fan back in 2019, you would hear the things of, oh, Jarrett this, King of the Mountain this, Slapnuts this. Then I go back and watch, and I was actually just entertained. I actually do think Jeff Jarrett is a very good wrestler in himself. I don't mind them being involved in this match because we had a story with it. And honestly, I don't want to see this story continue. Have it end there with the House of Black. Have them go on to do other things. Maybe have a match. Now, you're going to hate this, but I think a storyline to come out of this is Jay Lethal turning on Jeff Jarrett, and
Oh
siding with Mark
no!
Briscoe. Have Lethal and Mark be a tag team. Then you could do a quick little feud against Jeff Jarrett and Satnam Singh. Have that be a Rampage sort of thing, or maybe even a mid card thing on Collision. And then because I feel like Lethal is a very good wrestler in himself, and I always enjoy seeing Lethal on television. Him and Jeff Jarrett as a tag team, that whole bit with the Acclaimed, and then they done Sting and Darby Allin at Full Gear, I think 2020, 22, I think it's 22, or is it 23? They did a match on Full Gear, and I very much enjoyed that. I love their theme as well, mixing them two together. But I do want to see Lethal do other sort of things because I really enjoy his work.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you're going to break them up, this is a team that's been along together. You don't want them just to be like Lethal been like, oh, I don't like Jarrett, then nothing comes off of it and they don't ever face each other again. You at least want to get somewhat a storyline and pay out of it. Because
fair enough.
I will say, like, Jarrett has had some solid matches in AEW. You look at the concession stand brawl he's had on Collision in the past. You know, he did the little pre-show thing and All In that people reacted to and had a bit of a laugh with. He had a Full Gear match, I think, after that. I can't remember on the top of my head because I'm probably still jet lagged from Greensboro, so my mind's a bit messed up. But I don't think there's a match that Jeff Jarrett has had that I don't find entertaining or bad. Look at the match at Greensboro. His team with Private Party and Willie Mack against the Bang Bang Scissor Gang was fun and enjoyable for what it was. The little spot with Jarrett doing his strut and the whole team outside doing it as well. They're a fun comedy trio. I enjoy them. Do I ever think Jeff Jarrett's going to hold gold in AEW? I know I bet my hair on it, but logistically, thinking reasonably, thinking wise, no. Jarrett's never going to hold gold in AEW. Personally, I don't think. But he is doing a role. He has got a position there, and I think he is enjoyable and fun to see in the ring.
But he's not going to earn them any money. Like, he's so old that it's not like they're having to basically make him into a star because barely any of their audience knows like who he is. But now they do. But like, he's not a draw for them. He's not bringing eyes to the product. Whereas you have people sitting at home, like, I know Miro's hurt, but like, I mean, for example, you had Andrade, who was completely clear for the entire time while Jeff Jarrett was on TV before, and he was sitting at home.
I will say this.
I don't think Andrade really wanted to be on AEW television for a very long time.
I don't know.
I don't know. I'll say this. I think so. My issue personally with this is not that Jarrett was in the match. Someone needed to be paired with Mark Briscoe, and he was going to go through a flaming table, right? It was booked around that spot. That's what this match was. It was about the House of Black there, right? That's make the House of Black look dominant. Brody King looked great as usual. Shout out Santino Bros. No doubt about that. But when it comes to Jeff Jarrett, personally, I've got scar tissue because I didn't like him as a kid. I didn't love him in TNA, right? Like WCW really didn't like him. Like, so when he comes into AEW, I've still got that scar tissue. To Soul's point, he's been nothing but really quality in AEW most of the time out there, right? He's done a lot of good things. I don't think it feels as much like he's taking a spot, if not for card placement. The fact that this was the main event made no sense.
Yeah.
And
good point.
If it's not the main event, because to me, the high point of the show was they should have gone off the air with Adam Copeland opening the box, and you better watch Collision or Dynamite next week to figure out what the heck is inside of that thing.
Yes.
That was the high point of the show. And if you just flip those two, this whole problem's solved. And that's my only issue with it, right? I want to know what's in there. It's not the Sting-esque eye paint was interesting to me. Maybe it was a bat. Maybe it was a spiked bat of sorts, something like that. I don't know. Or maybe it's something from Christian's past. It could be a number of different things. But to go off the air after that segment would have been the move, as opposed to like now we've got another one and check out the flaming table spot. That could have followed the flaming table spot, and it's a cliffhanger. That's fine in professional wrestling. Cliffhanger is fine. I think the flaming table spot, the idea in execution was for that to be the finality, right? The big moment. And as big as it was, unfortunately, we've seen a lot of flaming table spots. As crazy as it is that Mark Briscoe is willing to do that, We've seen
Yeah,
tables on
it's
fire,
overdone.
right?
It's
And so
overdone.
it's not that it's overdone. We haven't seen
I
one in
think
a
it is.
while. But if it's in the middle of the card here, I actually think we look back on it fondly like, wow, that was a cool highlight. And then we
Oh,
got
no,
the
I
big
would have hated the table spot even more if it was in the middle of the
then
card.
we've got the big Copeland cliffhanger to end the show though, Ben, to go home
Which I agree.
thinking like
You're right there. I just think
that
the table
was
spot
the
should have won.
at least that's my number one point is that was
Yeah.
the highest point of the night, I thought.
Yeah.
And should have been featured as the finality of Collision.
Well, you did a spot where you put somebody through fire, and it was not only not the top spot of the night, the most important point. It wasn't even the second most. It wasn't even the third most. It was the fourth most because
Yeah.
the entire Okada Pac thing was more important,
Right.
and
right.
so was the Osprey Danielson thing. I
Right.
mean, I would have had Danielson Shane Taylor maybe even be the main event if you built that throughout the show. Maybe did a backstage segment between the two at the start to do a bit more of a story, build it
Yeah.
to the end of the show, and then Osprey and Danielson announcing their match Dynasty to close it. I'd have liked
True.
that too.
Okay, by the way, we do have a comment that I want to read from
Oh,
Coach
yeah.
23 because I rarely disagree with you. Coach 23 said this is AEW we're talking about. That Copeland cage box thing will probably be underwhelming. I disagree there because we have not seen Copeland and Cage, long time known best friends, in the same place at the same time with arguably the most creative control that they'll ever have.
That's true. Yeah.
And so I think this one will deliver, but I know we're getting up against the clock there.
No,
I mean, I'll
well,
throw
we
in-
are.
I'll throw-
I'm gonna have to wrap up now, unfortunately. But on that note, guys, thank you guys so much for watching the show. If you're on Spotify, please leave a cheeky 5 stars. If you're on YouTube, please like and subscribe. All the platforms, please support us. We're here every day. For the next couple of weeks in the United States, we'll be an hour later than we normally are. So it'll be 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific. But in the UK, it'll stay the normal time because apparently clocks change different times across the world. Oh, they like to make things confusing, don't they? But thank you guys so much. We'll be back tomorrow and submit your questions for Mailbag Monday. See you guys then. Thank you, Clock. Thank you, Soul. Peace.